So financial well-being, very simply put, is a sense of security that you get that you are covered with respect to all your financial requirements, be it your day-to-day finances, be it your short-term goals, taking a vacation, buying a electronic device, buying a car, be it long-term goals like your children's education, maybe your children's marriage, your eventual retirement. The fact that if you are stress-free about these goals, if you think that you're in a situation where your finances are covered to meet these goals, is overall what simply could be explained as financial well-being. So the basics of this actually start from the fact that you should be focusing on budgeting, you should be living in your means, etc., etc. But those are some things that I'm sure everyone is already aware of. So I'll just be moving forward. So the question that everyone has been asking right now, especially to us, most of our clients, is what should we do with respect to the current scenario? What we're facing is a global pandemic. It's a double black swan event actually, because we have a health pandemic and we have a financial market pandemic. So this is a reason which has everyone sort of worried because of this double whammy, and everyone is confused how best to handle it, what is the best decision that they can make for their finances, for their investments, etc. And the simple question, the simple response that I have to this question, which always holds true through this crisis and going forward through your journey, is basically that you need to have your basics in place before you can do anything on top of that. If you have your basics in place, then any crisis, any turbulent time like the one we're facing, you can sail through very easily. So I'll first take you through a couple of basics that everyone should have in place, and then we'll move on to specifically how best we can deal with the current scenario. So health insurance, as I'm sure all of you know, is an essential product. The main reason for health insurance is, and why it's important to talk about health insurance even before we begin talking about investments, is because you don't want to be uninsured, uncovered, and you waste your precious earnings, your precious investments to pay some medical expense that props up. As Farhan already informed me that, of course, Schneider covers you, they provide you health policies, but there are a couple of things that you should still keep in mind. The first thing, I don't know whether you guys have recently checked, is you should be aware of what all is covered under the policy. Every group policy has some exclusive benefits and some common benefits. So you should be aware as to what the exclusive benefits that you get are. You should be aware of the amount that is covered. You should be, coverage amount should be adequate. And another reason that even if you are under covered by your employer's insurance policy, you should still ideally have a dedicated health insurance policy. The reason for that is that you never know when you might be switching jobs. And when you're in this period of switching a job, at that point of time, you will not be covered, which is not recommended at all. So that's why even if you're covered with your insurance policy, with your employer's policy, you should have a small dedicated policy for you and your family. And that policy should just be for small, maybe 5 to 7 lakhs to begin with. And in case later on you want to increase that cover, then you can look at increasing it then.
So Shrey, a quick question for on this side.
Yeah.
For a family of 4, what should be the ideal health cover? Because
So
the
for
organization as a package, we offer multiple options, right?
All right.
So people are unable to many times ascertain that how much should be the cover they should be opting for.
Yeah. So Farhan, as this was there on the previous slide, with respect to medical costs, especially in private hospitals in any metro, any procedure that takes 1 or 2 days could cost upwards of 2 lakhs. So I would say that every family member should at the minimum have say 2.5 lakhs of dedicated cover. So for your family of 4, it should be at least 10 lakhs.
Okay, understood.
On the minimum side, of course, that can be increased depending on anyone's specific requirements, etc. If someone has specific pre-existing conditions, then they would need a higher coverage.
Right.
But a minimum 10 lakhs to begin with is good. So just a couple of things to keep in mind if you go out to purchase a health insurance, that you should look at what is covered, you should look at the credibility of a company, you should look at the partner network of hospitals, etc. that they have. And after that only you should decide which specific policy that you have to buy. The next basic factor in your journey to financial well-being is term insurance. So term insurance is often a very overlooked product because no one wants to accept their own mortality. Everyone thinks they're hale and hearty. Everyone thinks that nothing's going to happen to them. But the whole point of term insurance is to be prepared that in case a mishap happens, your family members, your dependents, they're covered. If you have any dependents, maybe your children that depend on your income, maybe you have a spouse who is not working, so they are dependent on your income, and just in case there is a mishap, they should be looked after. That is the only reason that everyone should have a term insurance plan. That term insurance plan, a lot of us are under the misconception that we have LIC policies, we are covered. The problem with LIC policies is that the sum assured is very little. If you even have, say, 4 or 5 LIC policies, today if you sit down and combine the sum assured, that would hardly be 15, 20, 25, 50 lakhs at max, which is not a sufficient amount because based on current inflation, based on our incomes at this moment. So what is recommended is that you should have a dedicated term insurance plan, not a ULIP policy, not a life insurance policy, just a simple term insurance policy that covers at least 10 to 12 times of your annual income. So if you're earning 10 lakhs a year, you should have a term cover of 1 CR at the very minimum. Another reason, apart from taking care of your dependents' regular income, many of you might be having a home loan, you might be having a car loan. So in case of an unfortunate incident, those loans also have to be paid off, which is where term insurance becomes even more important. So similarly for term insurance also, if you go out to buy a policy, you should just take care that the sum insured is at least 10 to 12 times of your income. You should be you don't need to actually go for additional riders like critical care and accidental disabilities. We do not recommend, those are not required. A basic term insurance plan suffices. Now the third step before we move on to investments, before we move on to savings, etc., is actually an emergency fund. The purpose of this fund is very clear to all of us today, but if I had asked a lot of people 2 months ago, they would be unsure. They would not actually have a sufficient corpus in an emergency fund. So what an emergency fund is basically, it is in the event of an emergency like the one we're going today, in case you lose your job, in case there is a salary cut that you have to face, in case there are additional expenses that are coming up into your household that you were not prepared for. For covering all of these expenses, what we recommend is that everyone should have at least 6 months of their household expenses in an instrument like a liquid fund that is a stable instrument that you have access to at any time you need. So for someone who's, say, earning 50,000 a month, maybe they're spending 25,000, maybe they're spending 25,000 on their household expenses, they need to have at least 1.5 lakhs in a liquid fund at any point of time. And this amount, of course, varies with your salary and income and your household expenses.
So what all kind of liquid funds which one would be looking at? Of course, one is saving account and second is part of FD. But
when I'm referring to liquid funds, I'm actually referring specifically to debt mutual funds and the subcategory under them being liquid funds. Savings account works for this purpose. Why a liquid fund is better is because the saving account gives you an interest of 3.5% on an average. And on an average, a liquid fund can give you anywhere between 5 to 6% per annum as your interest. And the advantage is that the money gets into your bank from the liquid mutual fund. It can reach your bank within 24 hours in case you wish to redeem it. So what we recommend.
So nothing to do with bonds, right? It's not in bonds is not part of debt funds.
The liquid funds that you will be investing in will be buying very short-term government and corporate bonds. The short-term nature of them is such that on an average, these bonds mature in 30 days.
Okay.
Yeah, so since the nature of these bonds is so short-term, they're almost completely risk-free. If you go into 10-year history of liquid funds return, there are maybe 1 or 2 days where it would have dipped in performance. Otherwise, the performance is quite stable.